Hello, everyone. We are live. We are live for day 91 of Elsie Lincoln Benedict's book, How to Get Anything You Want. Here we are. You love that? How to Get Anything You Want. Let's continue. We're finishing up the last few pages of lesson number 7. How to make your desires materialize. We've been through each and every one of these lessons. If you have missed any of the previous 90 videos, be sure to check them out. It is on the playlist on YouTube. I encourage you to, if you're on Facebook, to hop on over and check out all of the playlists that I have reading these books. We're going through them together. I'm teaching a little bit, and we are on the last couple legs, so I'm really excited. We left off yesterday about reading, why is it important? She said, how can we secure happiness? What's the good in morality? Why should we work? Why should we study to improve ourselves? Why do we do this? And basically it's because that's the price you pay to get those dividends of happiness out of your life. If we just sit around and loaf all day, we don't feel good about it. And so she told a story of this church. Remember when she went to the church and the person said, be careful what you wish for. I wished for a job. And then once I got the job, I decided I didn't really want the job. And that one woman who said, I prayed, Mrs. Pepper, she prayed to God to make her more loving. And then she was bombarded with a whole bunch of people, and not easy people to quote love. But that's like when you pray for flowers, God gives you rain. When you pray for something, be careful. Understand what price you're going to have to pay to get that thing that you're praying for. And it's okay. It can be a beautiful thing, but just don't be surprised when it just doesn't fall in your lap. Like, I pray for a successful $1 million company. Okay, you're not going to be given a successful $1 million company. You're going to build one. You're going to be given the tools, the ideas, the resources to build that company. And that's the price you pay to get the $1 million business or $1 billion business, whatever I said. So we left off yesterday with that. She said the law of compensation is an impersonal, almost mathematical one, not the arbitrary thing it sometimes appears to be. You will get a clearer understanding of this if you will think of your life as a crowded pantry shelf. To make room for anything else, you would have to remove from that shelf something you wanted less. This goes along with the whole concept of we never have to sacrifice. Well, the idea of traditional sacrifice means suffering and missing out and all this sorts of things. But really what sacrifice means, and she's using it in an analogy here of, we have a pantry of life, right? We do things, and it's getting rid of one thing of a lesser value to replace it with something of a higher value. So are we, at the end of the day, really missing anything? Are we really sacrificing? It's like when I go to the gym every day, am I really sacrificing? No, I'm gaining so much more. My health, my vitality, my strength, the physique that I want. And so it really asks us to reconsider the whole concept of sacrifice. I like that analogy. All right. So the law of compensation is an impersonal, almost mathematical one, not the arbitrary thing it's sometimes appears to be. You will get a clearer understanding of this if you will think of your life as a crowded pantry shelf. To make room for anything else, you have to remove from that shelf something you wanted less. And so we might have to remove the nightly binge watching of our Netflix series to make room for more sleep and rest or reading time or meditation time. It'll be worth it. It's like, what is the Netflix binging or insert any other habit that doesn't have returns on our investment? Like there's no ROI. We're just wasting that time. And it might feel good in the moment. Remember, she used examples of these swindlers, these things in the moment that promise these joys, but really we end up getting suffering or being held back in our life. So just imagine your life as a crowded pantry shelf. And to make room for something new, something that you want, you got to get rid of something of a lesser value that you don't care for, and it's not paying you dividends in your life. So it is with your life when you remove the things. It's just like a pantry. It is full Your life is full, like the full pantry. But of what? Leisure, pleasure, ease, self-indulgence? No, you will say, only a little of these. Very well, says the law of compensation. If you want something you haven't got, merely take off the shelf something you already have and make room for the newer and better and more desired thing. Take off some of the idleness and put effort in its place. Take off some of the mental laziness and put study in its place. Take off some of the indefiniteness and put plan into its place. Take off some of the frivolities and put things more worthwhile and sensible in their place. And soon you will have this thing you want. You have filled yourself of life. No one but you can say what shall remain upon it and what, if anything, be removed. You choose. It's no one else's business. But you have to be honest with yourself. It's like, what are we doing? What are we giving in return for what we want? And if we don't have what we want, it's because we're not giving, whether it be in our own effort, in our own life. It's like, if you want that six pack, are you doing what it takes to get the six pack? It's simple, but it's not easy, right? It's just that consistency and getting over our own resistance to what we deem uncomfortable. She says, take your choice. All right, so this is a section, the law of materialization, the law of materialization. This is kind of the end of it. We have now come to the last lap of our journey in the land of heart's desire. It remains only to enter into the city of our dreams. Through affirmation, preparation, and compensation, we have come to materialization. We have planted the seeds and are ready for the harvest which never fails. We have remade our own spirits through the remaking of our moods. We have decided definitely just what we want. We have set the gauges. We have taken every necessary step. We have builded the strong foundation of preparation. We have learned how to find the many doors of opportunity and recognize them. We have learned that the price for passing through each and on into more and beautiful things is not unobtainable, but easy to get, that everything we want awaits us as soon as we have fulfilled the eternal laws which operate behind all materialization. Thousands of men and women have written me the story of the success which crowned their efforts as soon as they had stopped groping, sidestepping, or drifting, and applied the simple but eternal laws which I have explained to you in these lessons. I wish I might reprint every one, for truth is stranger than fiction, and also more interesting. But I will select typical ones that we have space for. I will let each tell you his story in his own words. All right. So these are some stories, testimonials, if you will, of people who back in her day went through her program. So we'll continue with this. Actually, we could probably read one of them today. All right, so this is the first testimony. How I overcame wrong attitudes and attained happiness. This is by Marla Kirkwood from New Orleans. I grew up in a family that tried to live on its traditions. Both my parents had been reared in the luxury of slave-owning surroundings before the Civil War and could not adjust themselves to newer ones. The good old days and the, wait, did I miss a page? Let me just make sure. The good old days and the hopelessness of the new were favorite topics of conversation. Myself and sister, who made up the rest of the family, were trained in the old-fashioned ways and taught that instead of looking for careers, we should find some nice men and marry. But the nice men did not arrive on the scene, at least not the ones we wanted, and the family finances dwindled year after year until it became necessary for me to go to work. I was then past 30, with no training whatsoever, but with the family idea of personal superiority strong within me. I looked weeks before I found anything to do, and then the pay was so small, I would not have considered it had I not needed it so badly. The work was not difficult. and I did it efficiently and without much effort. I therefore wondered why my pay was not raised as promised when the month of probation was over. But my employer would make no explanations. Instead, I was told my services were no longer needed. Ooh. I got other positions but lost each one, in turn, apparently for some mysterious reason, which no one would mention to me. In spite of my admittedly good work, I could not hold a place long enough to be promoted or secure even an average wage. As soon as I would become familiar with my work and begin to congratulate myself on how well I was doing, out I would have to go. It may help others if I explain here that I had been taught to be efficient, that I preferred to do things well, and I took pride in my personal appearance, tried to make myself as useful as possible to my employers, and in every way lived up to all of the rules which are supposed to lead to success. One night, at the request of the head of my department, who had heard her who had heard her in Denver many years before, I attended Miss Benedict's lecture. Oh, okay. So this woman saying one night at the request of the head of my department, she went to Denver to hear Elsie Lincoln Benedict speak. I was not interested in psychology, human analysis, personality, or similar subjects. I considered them fads, too far-fetched and impractical to apply them to everyday life. Almost her first words were, "Your predominant mental attitudes make your life." It sounded impossible, stated badly like that, and I inwardly resisted it with some arguments of my own for a few minutes. She went on to explain how and why this was so, piling illustration upon illustration, proof upon proof, until when she walked off the platform an hour and a half later, I could not believe I had been in that auditorium more than 10 minutes. I was too proud to admit to my friend that any of her talk struck me, but I knew it did. As we walked to the corner, my friend said, "Maria, I wanted you especially to come with me tonight, for I like you, and I don't want to lose track of each other, even if you do not leave, even if you do leave the office." I was thunderstruck and asked her what she meant. "I mean," she said, "that the manager told me today she was going to let you go on the first, and I felt I ought to tell you so you could do something about it. You could if you only would, and I know how much you'd like to stay." I asked her to explain, and she said, "Maria, you're a very dependable worker. You are quick and keen and have initiative. And Mr. J admits it. But he said he knew you felt superior to the rest of the girls at heart, and they all know it too. He said he had Miss D's position in mind for you when she leaves next month, but she is in charge of 4 girls, and none of them wants to work under you." I asked her permission to go to the manager for another chance and did so the next morning. Meanwhile, I spent most of the night taking stock of myself. I knew this secret attitude of superiority had always dominated my inmost mind and had gotten me a deal of satisfaction, but I could readily see what it had done to my life. So this woman could not keep a job. She was too proud, but she had to go to work because she needed some money. But she kept getting fired. No one liked her because although she was a good worker, she had this superiority, like nose up in the air attitude, just thinking she's better than everybody, and it kept ruining her opportunities. So her friend took her to this thing, and but this is great. She's noticing it. She's taking responsibility. So she saw what it's doing to her life. I had then been working for 7 years and was getting a much smaller salary than others of similar experience. I recall how just this thing had happened every time in spite of the high quality of my work. I had never expressed this attitude in words, but I realized, of course, that it had always talked as plainly as any words could. I fought it out with myself that night and went straight to the manager the next morning, confessing the truth frankly and promising to overcome it if he would give me another chance. He acquiesced, and I went at it in earnest. I determined to eliminate the effect by uprooting the cause as Miss Benedict suggested, not merely pretend. I did not miss one of her lectures. She showed me the way so simply, sanely, and scientifically that it was really easy. That was 4 years ago. I am now the manager myself in that firm and far happier than I ever expected to be. I am writing this in the hope that it will give others the realization, the lack of which stood in my way so many years. What a testimony. That's beautiful. We all have to take stock in our life. Like, what are our results? How do people respond to us? What's our reputation? Again, it's like none of our business what other people think of us, but if we continue to get similar responses, we keep running up against the same situations, whether they be in work, like if it's hard for you to make friends, if you could continuously get in arguments with people or feel rejected by people, like what are you truly believing? What are the secret thoughts that you're harboring in your heart? Like this woman said, she did harbor in her heart this thought of superiority because her parents, I mean, it didn't say explicitly, but were they slave owners? That she was better than other people, that she had servants, like who knows? And so people can feel that, like whatever deep thoughts you have in your subconscious mind, people can feel it. They may not know exactly what it is, but they can feel it. It's like you you pick up with intuition what other people are thinking without them saying it. And that will deeply affect our lives. You know? When someone just doesn't like you, you can feel it, even though they don't say it. And it's none of our business why they don't like us. Or if it's common, a lot of people don't like us, then we can look in the mirror. It's like taking that fearless moral inventory. Why am I getting the results I'm getting? Why am I experiencing the things I'm experiencing? Similar patterns in relationships. That there's a common denominator. It's us. So taking that fearless moral inventory, I highly recommend whether you addict or no addict, it doesn't matter. The 12 steps are free online, and I think everybody should go through the 12 steps, regardless if they have any substance abuse or not, because you can trade out alcohol or drugs or alcohol. I believe in Alcoholics Anonymous or the 12 steps. You can Google the 12 steps and read and replace the alcohol or the drug for fear or worry or insecurity, like trying to get sober from the insecure thought, trying to get sober from the anger thought, like I'm addicted to anger, I'm addicted to gossiping, and go through the 12 steps, but primarily step number 4, which is taking that fearless moral inventory, looking at your character defects, looking at what part you play in the negative results in your life. So I would encourage you to do that. I really liked that. Okay, so we have a few more testimonials. We'll probably have 2 more days left. So I believe again, today's day 91. If you've missed any of the previous lessons, they are on the playlist on my YouTube channel, and all of the information, how to contact me, reach out, sign up for any of the offerings that I have are below in the description box. And I appreciate all of your support, and we will continue tomorrow. Have a beautiful day.